Hello. Welcome to the replay. If you are catching this on replay, let me know by dropping the word replay in the comments. Welcome to the June 21st, I had to check the date, June 21st edition episode situation of Mondays with Mo. I am excited to be here with you today. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Confetti Collective. We are a digital media platform for women like you. Everything that we do centers around this, I was going to say this idea, but confidence isn't an idea. It's a real thing that has real impact on the lives of real women. So everything that we do centers around activating, discovering, and growing so that you can thrive in your confidence. I am Mo James. I am a certified confidence coach, and I'm the founder of the Confetti Collective. And I'm here to chat with you today about two characteristics that every confident woman needs. So, if this is your first time here, welcome. Say hey girl, hey in the comments, just so I can know that you are new. I'm excited to have you tune in for this chat today. So, if you have followed us for a while, you know that this year, 2021, we launched the Confident Women Glow podcast, and that was something that the audience, the ladies in the collective, had been asking for a long time, and it took me a minute to catch up and finally get the podcast launched. And in the latest episode of the Confident Women Glow podcast, I talked about graduation season. Right now, at the time that I'm doing this live, we are in graduation season. We're seeing caps and gowns all up and through our social feeds. And I challenged us, those of us that are no longer in school, I challenged us to think about when our last graduation was. When was your last graduation? Because when we're young, you know, we intentionally prepare to transition, and we prepare to graduate. We prepare for what the future is going to bring. We look forward to all the things that the future is going to bring. But when we get to adulthood, we fall off sometimes. We stop focusing and stop leaning into graduating and our next season. So after you listen to that podcast episode, Confident Women Glow, you can head over to theconfetticollective.com/podcast to catch the most recent episode. After you listen to that episode, I want you to give yourself the space and time to think about, to consider if you have been so fascinated with the things of the past that you've avoided graduating. If you've become comfortably complacent in the spot that you're in right now, that you haven't looked forward to the future. You haven't planned to transition. Instead, you have rested and fallen asleep in the spot where you are in your life right now. And here's the thing. No shade, no judgment if that's you. We've all done it. We've all done it. The key is recognizing if that's where you are, that is where you are, and then figuring out how to not be there anymore. That's what it's all about. You can, I believe, you have the power. We as women, okay, so here's the thing. We as women, we are creators. Things are birthed through us. So you cannot tell me that we don't have the power to birth, to design, to create, to bring forth the life that we desire. We do. So now that we've established that we do, I want to offer you some information to help you move through your confidence activation, discovery, building journey. I believe that the confidence journey requires two characteristics. There are two things, two ways of being, two perspectives, two ways of looking at the world that every confident woman needs, because this journey is going to have its ups and downs and backwards and forwards and diagonals and upside downs. It's going to bring all of those things. So if you as a confident woman are not equipped with these two characteristics, you're going to be like, what did I sign up for? Mo did not tell me it was going to be like this. I should just have stayed where I am. I quit, I retreat. You will do all of those things. So I want to make sure that you don't do those things. I want to support you in being able to overcome the challenges that this journey will bring you by giving you these 2 characteristics that every confident woman needs. Are y'all ready for him? The 2 characteristics every confident woman needs. The first one is curiosity. And the second one is vulnerability. Here's the thing, you all. This confidence journey requires a balance of exploration and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. We could wish it was something else, but that's exploration and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So here's how curiosity serves you as you move along in your confidence journey. Curiosity allows you to look at every experience and ask yourself, what is this here to teach me? Yes, Shell says, curiosity allows you to to witness your own behavior and think, and ask yourself, why was I acting like that? Curiosity gives you the room to look at other people's behavior and recognize that it's not always about you, but they might have some other things going on that are causing them to react to you in a specific way, and you don't make it personal. Curiosity calls you to ask questions to understand on a different level, instead of resigning and simply accepting the way things are. Well, I just left another relationship where I got cheated on. I guess I'm just destined for that. No, you're not. Curiosity would give you the space to ask yourself, how do I keep getting into these situations? What is the pattern that is guiding me, that is driving me to continue to sign up for these types of relationships, and how can I interrupt that pattern? Curiosity allows you to examine yourself, your situations, your perspective, so that you can understand on a different level. And when I say different, I either mean a higher level or a deeper level, however you want to look at it. But the key with being curious is not just asking questions for the sake of asking questions. It's asking questions so that in the answers you grow. You will find your growth in the answers. That's the point. A quote that I love that's attributed to Socrates says, the unexamined life is not worth living. So again, you are activating and leaning on your curiosity so that you are asking questions and you're not afraid of the answers, because you know the answers are here to serve you. The answers aren't here to convict you or to indict you or to make you feel guilty or to make you feel ashamed for what you may or may not have done. The answers are here to serve you in your growth. So when you recognize and you accept that every answer is going to serve you, then you won't be afraid to ask yourself the questions. The answers will allow you to stay encouraged as you move through the journey. Curiosity is the first characteristic. Curiosity is the first characteristic. Shell says, glad I have these two. Never equated them to confidence, though. That's why we're here. I love that you said that, Shell, because I'm certain that there are women who will watch this broadcast that will think the same thing. I'm certain of that. So again, curiosity is first, because in the questions and the answers that you get, that will allow you to grow through your experiences. And when you can admit and recognize that you have the capacity, you have the capability to grow through your experiences, good, bad, and different, or whatever, that helps boost your confidence. When you can say, regardless of what I go through, I will grow through. Doesn't that make you feel like, yes, whatever it is. So now you're not living your life from a place of fear and from a place of disempowerment. You instead empower and arm yourself with the knowledge that everything you go through, you will grow through. That's curiosity. That's the first characteristic that every confident woman needs. The second characteristic is vulnerability. And I know there's a lot of definitions that we assign to vulnerability, but I want to use Brene Brown's definition. She defines vulnerability as the emotion we experience during times of uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And for the confident woman, this looks like you reminding yourself that I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm available for the journey. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm available for the journey. That's what vulnerability from the confident woman perspective looks like. Here's the thing, you all. It takes courage to be vulnerable. It takes a lot of courage to be your fully authentic, weird, whatever it is, self. That takes courage. And it requires you to trust in the space that you're in to be able to express your vulnerability without being judged for it. Think about this. There are people in your life right now that if you were to allow yourself to think about this, you know that you cannot trust them with your vulnerability. We all have them. We all have those people. So once you're aware that there are certain containers in your life, when I say containers, I mean people, certain containers who don't have the capacity to handle your vulnerability, it's up to you to make sure that you don't just leave it out, in the middle of the street for anybody to pick up, or just walk around with it just all out there willy-nilly for anybody to touch and finger and finagle with. Protect your vulnerability like your other valued possessions, because your vulnerability is a gift. Your vulnerability is a gift. And when you recognize that it's a gift, you treat it as such. You won't be those types of people that walk around, like they say, with their hearts on their sleeve. You know why? Because you know that every situation you walk in, your heart will not be handled well. So instead of walking around with your vulnerability on your sleeve, you will protect it like a precious jewel. And then you will test and discern those situations and circles to determine if your vulnerability can be handled properly. Your vulnerability is a gift. And it's through your vulnerability that you will allow yourself to discover yourself, not judge yourself as you move through this confidence journey. Because again, when you start to peel back your own layers and process the things that you've done that you wished you didn't do, the things that you've said that you wished you didn't say, the way that you showed up that you wish you didn't show up that way, you don't want guilt and shame to kick in. You want to be able to witness what you've done and say, you know what? I'm going to show myself grace in that moment, in those moments. Recognize that I was only doing what I know how to do, and now that I know better, I'm going to do better. That's what vulnerability allows you to do. You're not judging yourself. And here's the other thing too, you all. When your vulnerability is active in your life, because you're not judging yourself, you also don't judge other people. You do not judge other people because you're not judging yourself. When you're handling yourself carefully and with grace and kindness, then you handle other people with grace and kindness too. But you also will put up a boundary when you need to for self-preservation. Come on, get church. Your vulnerability is a gift, and it is your responsibility to guard it. I'm actually working on a podcast episode right now. I'm outlining about this, the vulnerability and our responsibility to guard our hearts, because it is our responsibility. We cannot keep blaming other people for hurting us when we show up loosey-goosey with our vulnerability before we discern if this person is the container who can handle it responsibly. And you get there when you activate the curiosity. That's what the questions allow you to figure out. The questions allow you to autopsy your experiences, and then your vulnerability allows you to not beat yourself up for what you didn't know, and allows you to commit to doing better. So those, you all, are the two characteristics that every confident woman needs: curiosity and vulnerability. Here's the thing. Confidence, this journey, requires unlearning and new learning. There are things that you do and ways that you show up in the world that is a result of patterns that were modeled for you. And it's up to us to recognize if those patterns are becoming weights on our lives instead of giving us wings in our lives. And if we're clear and we know that it's a weight, it's our responsibility to let it go. But you can't get there if you're not first willing to question your own assumptions about who you are and what you be and what you do and what you say, and show yourself the grace to grow through everything. You can learn. You are going through this process of unlearning and relearning, being curious so that you can continue to explore, and you're being vulnerable so that as you become self-aware, you do not shame and guilt and judge yourself. That's why these two characteristics are so important, that I like to call them the sisters. They're the sisters. Because the moment you start questioning, the moment you start being curious about the experiences that are behind you, everything that you've gone through, you are going to need that vulnerability so that you can hold yourself tenderly as you learn new things and new ways of being and new experiences. You're going to need to hold yourself tenderly during that process. Curiosity and vulnerability. You are going through this process. We are going through this process so that we can learn how to love ourselves on a new level. Loving yourself deeper, loving yourself higher, loving yourself better, loving yourself more, however you want to call it. It's loving ourselves on a new level. And this mindset of a confident woman does not accept that where she is right now, she's stuck there. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care who you broke up with last week. It doesn't matter. You're not stuck there. You are not a tree. You can move and plant yourself in a new space that will allow you to thrive. That's the beauty about this journey. That's what makes this journey so fabulous. That's why I love it and I could talk about it all day. Because we have the power. We are more than capable of creating, of designing, of rebuilding, of recovering, of renewing, and thriving in everything that we've said we want for ourselves. We are capable. I know I believe it. It's up to you to decide if you believe it for yourself and if you're going to allow your belief to show up in your actions. I want to leave you with this. You are a confident woman. Period. Full stop. You are a confident woman. Activate your curiosity and your vulnerability as you move through this journey so you can support yourself from your now to your next. Now to next. So that is all that I have to share with you all today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I would love to hear your commentary, your takeaways. I actually want to know too, Which one? Curiosity, vulnerability. Do you see you have space and room to show up more in your life? Which one are you going to start to practice on a different level, on a new level in your life? Curiosity or vulnerability? Both will serve you. You will need both. But again, be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself the space to practice. And as you get better, as you become practiced, then you can add the other one. Shell says vulnerability. Listen to me. Okay, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go. I am former military. So when I tell you the vulnerability piece, a whole conversation, okay? The vulnerability piece. But I will offer those of you that recognize vulnerability, because I'm naturally curious. I'm a questioner at heart. I ask questions of everybody. So so the curiosity one was, I didn't need as much practice. The vulnerability piece, I definitely did. But one key mind-blowing takeaway for me was recognizing that I was spending time in spaces and with people who I knew deep down could not handle my vulnerability. But because I wasn't operating in what I knew, I was showing up in those spaces fully armored. I was showing up like a knight in shining armor, fully armored, and realizing that I don't want to be that. I don't want to show up in spaces fully armored. I only want to show up in spaces where my full self can hang out and leisurely chill, and I don't have to worry about being judged. I don't have to consider how, if I say this, is somebody in this space going to take what I'm saying and go run and tell somebody else? If I do this, if I share this, how is it going to be used against me? I recognized that I was spending time in spaces where I knew my vulnerability wasn't going to be able to be handled well. I knew that those people didn't have the capacity to handle my vulnerability. And it's no judgment on those people. It's all about me. It's all about you, right? This journey is about us. We're not trying to control anybody else. But once I had that awareness, then I had to start moving with intention. And I had to start nurturing relationships so that I could discover, if in this container, how will my vulnerability be handled? Can I trust this space with my vulnerability? Because again, this armor is heavy and I'm ready to take it off. But before I do take it off, I have to make sure that where I'm laying it down is a safe space for me. That, I hope, for those of you that recognize the vulnerability one is your thing, I hope that is helpful for you, because it was mind-blowing for me. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your attention, your time. If you're not in our Confident Women Do It Better group, I encourage you to join. We have different conversations there. You can definitely find the Mondays with Mo conversations shared in the group, but we talk about other things too there. Because again, it's all about creating intentional spaces where we can take the armor off. That's what I want. I only want to be in spaces where I don't have to walk around, yes, Path 21, like a robot. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to show up with sharp edges. I want to be able to be soft. I want to be able to rest. I want to be able to luxuriate in spaces. And I can't do that if I'm side-eyeing everybody, wondering how they're going to use what I'm bringing to the table against me. So I'm here. If you need more of this support, Like I said, Shell says, I want to feel and commune. Yes. That's a whole different conversation we could talk about, like how we are so out of touch with our feelings. And again, I'm saying this as somebody who for 8 years was indoctrinated and conditioned to not have feelings and to blend into the wallpaper, like to look and think and move like everybody else. Thanks, Army. I had to take that off. I had to take that off. And once I did, again, I got so clear on where I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up. Like Shell says, I want to feel. I am an empath. I want to feel all my feelings. But that's just me. I don't want to be disconnected from myself. That's my true self. I want to be able to show up as that true self. So, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, for being here. Leave your takeaways, drop them in the comments, drop them in the chat. Definitely check out the latest episode of the Confident Woman Glow podcast. It is titled Graduation Season, and we talked all about, I challenged us to think about our most recent graduation and how we can continue to put ourselves in that mold and that rhythm of preparing and then graduating and then preparing and then graduating, because in those processes, that's where our growth resides. That's where our healing resides. That's where our peace of mind resides. That's where our ability to speak up for ourselves reside. So I'm going to go for like the third time. I'm leaving. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Leave your takeaways, leave your chat. Confident Women Glow podcast, graduation season is the latest episode. I would love for you to listen and leave your commentary. Until next time, I will catch you later.